Freddie, are you comfortable with people using crypto, something that isn't really, tangible in many ways, to pay for a down payment on a house?
Why does Margaret Brennan think she's so slick all the time? I ask that because Margaret thought she had this perfectly crafted gotcha question for this Republican congressman, but he handled it like it was a walk. Walk in the park. Oh my God, I can't say that word too loud. It's SeanDaniel here, and if you guys do not like Margaret Brennan, comment Karen down below in the comments. I want to see how many comments we can get with just Karen. Because I know a lot of you guys don't like her.
We go now to Congressman French Hill. He is the chair of the House Financial Services Committee. Welcome back to the broadcast. Your ears must have been ringing with the two senators who started the program because they were talking about grabbing some of those frozen Russian assets. You moved a bill and gave the president authority to actually seize them during the last administration under the Repo Act. The U.S. has never before seized central bank assets from another country. Do you know if the Treasury Department is going to do so now?
Well, Margaret, it's good to be with you. Yes, I certainly worked very hard with former Foreign Affairs Chairman Mike McCall and others to put that in our 2024 national security package during the Biden administration because we wanted another arrow in the quiver for the president to not just seize those assets, but to convert them to the benefit of Ukraine. But we could never get consensus between the United States and Europe for doing that, despite a unanimous vote of the Council of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe supporting it. So I continue to urge President Biden to do that. We got the interest off those frozen assets to benefit Ukraine. But I think it's time for the president to convert those seized assets to a trust account for the benefit of Ukraine. I'm glad to hear both Senators Blumenthal and Graham support that idea. It's time to do it. And I've encouraged Secretary Bessent that this should be a priority for President Trump.
On another topic, because you have some oversight in the financial space, I want to ask you about comments made in regard to Fed Chair Jerome Powell. The president says the economy's in good shape, but he still complains about the head of the central bank, says he's doing a terrible job because he's not lowering interest rates. On another network today, the president's top economic advisor said the White House is looking into whether the president has the authority to fire Chair Powell. Do you believe the president has the power and authority to fire the Fed president?
You know, Margaret, I don't, and I believe President Trump has spoken about this several times over the past few years, including recently. Mr. Powell's governorship, his chairmanship is up next spring. The president has vacancies coming up on the Fed board where he could name another governor. But look, just because Congress created the Fed and that we believe that it should be independent in the setting of monetary policy, it doesn't mean that it's immune from criticism. And every president since World War II has had choice words for the Fed chair when they've not been in sync with the direction of the president. So look, the Congress continues to do oversight. I set up a special task force to oversee the Fed's decision-making since the 2008 financial crisis. We have that investigation, review, and oversight underway, and we'll continue it.
I think you'd acknowledge that most presidents might have had those choice words behind closed doors, not on social media posts on a regular basis, Congressman. But
that's why we like Trump, Margaret, because he says stuff a lot of times that he would say behind closed doors out in the public for us to understand what he's really thinking and what's really going on. Now, we haven't really seen that with the Epstein situation. We haven't fully seen it with the Butler shooting that happened a year ago. But we do hear a lot of true things from Trump, and that's, you see how she says it in a criticism way? Oh, because he said something that's usually behind closed doors. That's why we like him. It's so funny. The thing they think that makes him evil and bad, Trump, is actually what gets him votes. The realness that the people in the media, like Margaret over here, can't understand.
On crypto, I want to ask you, crypto has been the Wild West, right, in many ways, because they don't have the same kind of regulation in the digital asset space that there does exist for banks and financial services. You've got a few measures coming up this week. How do you make sure, as you put these regulations in place that kind of help crypto become more mainstream, that it doesn't also benefit some of those on the black market, for example, who use this to evade oversight?
Exactly. Well, in the work in the Senate led by Bill Hagerty and Tim Scott and Cynthia Lummis on the Genius Act to create a dollar-backed stablecoin, we've heavily influenced that legislation over the 2 years of previous work by the House. And our Clarity Act, which sets up the rules of the road for what's a commodity, what's a security, how to use digital assets, how to store them, how to custody them. These are the rules that will protect consumers, will limit access to our market and our investors from entities outside the United States trying to influence the crypto markets. We have none of that today. What we've had is a mismatch of rules by enforcement in the Biden administration, and I believe the bills we'll have on the House floor this week will protect investors, consumers, and make America, as President Trump wants, a leader in financial technology and crypto and digital assets innovation.
But you know, sir, that the concern is that this is the patina of protection of consumers without actual muscle behind it. It was interesting to see, and many Americans who hold mortgages might have noticed, that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who buy and sell mortgages, the head of the agency, the Federal Housing Agency, Bill Pulte, told them they'll have to prepare a proposal to review crypto as an asset on mortgage applications. Given the huge taxpayer stake in Fannie and Freddie, are you comfortable with people using crypto, something that isn't really, tangible in many ways, to pay for a down payment on a house?
Well, look at Bitcoin, for example. One can now buy Bitcoin. It is a commodity. It's been determined that it's a commodity by the CFTC and the SEC. One can hold it in their brokerage account through an exchange-traded product, an ETF, ETP. It's now an asset for millions of Americans, and it certainly could be treated like a stock or a bond or cash as a contribution to someone's net worth to qualify for a mortgage. And if we pass Clarity this week, which I expect we will on a bipartisan basis, and we craft a dollar-backed stable coin like Genius offered by Senator Hagerty, we'll have the rules of the road. It won't be a patina of consumer enforcement. It will be real consumer enforcement, investor protection.
And a down payment for a house.
Both by the CFTC, the SEC, and the bank regulators. Well, look, again, Bitcoin is an asset. You can determine if you think it's going to go up in value or down in value, just like stocks and bonds or other investments that people have on their financial statement to secure their financial statement for a net worth purposes, or to liquidate for a down payment.
Okay.
So I think it's a financial asset.
Well,
our bills will make it a more secure one, and one that's better for, I think, all households and businesses.
I'm out of time, so I'm going to have to leave it there.
Why do you guys think the government wants to have more regulation around Bitcoin and around crypto? To keep consumers safe from black market, like Margaret tries to say, or because we need regulation for safety, like it sounded like the congressman was saying? Let me know in the comments. I think the government wants more control and regulation over crypto so they can have more control and knowledge and tracking over transactions, so they can know how much you earned, how much you grew your income, how much you got from trading, so they can get more tax dollars. You're telling me that they just want to keep us safe with our money when all of a sudden some people are trading and sending things that they can't fully track? I know I don't fully understand crypto. I'm not a genius with that, but I believe that the government would love to be able to track more of our financial transactions so they can keep getting tax dollars. That just makes sense to me. If you guys have better opinions and information on that, feel free to let me know. I will take the education. Thank you. It's itsSeanDaniel here, and if you want to know what surprised Margaret Brennan after Rand Paul shared what he discovered in his investigation into the Butler, PA shooting where Trump had the assassination attempt, Check out this video right here, and I will see you in the next one. Whew.